Hello, and welcome to Week 5 of the SCDA White Premier Ball division. Yeah, that's right. Um, we are 1-3. We are not out of contention, but we need to keep winning, which is a hard task. There's a lot of good players in here. So this is another team I whipped up pretty quickly. May or may not be good. Uh, I guess we'll see. It's got some exciting stuff that I want to use. So I think either way, that's kind of a win in itself. And we're going to have fun. So that's really what matters. Our opponent this week is In Space. I think they're also 1-3. So once again, back to taking on people that have had a similar season to us. So definitely someone else fighting to maybe get up to one of those lower playoff spots. So this game is pretty important. Looking at their team, they have Bax Caliber, crazy strong physical attacker, can't be burned, gets an attack boost from fire type moves, so you need to be careful there. Really easy for it to boost up with Swords Dance or Dragon Dance if it wants to speed or if it just wants a ton of power. Glaive Rush obviously has no switch-ins that aren't fairy, so really tough mon to contend with. Luckily we have a natural kind of counter in Klefki unless it's Tera Fire or Tera Ground. Because even a non-stab Earthquake, then he has to worry about hitting his own teammates. And he has 2 Pokemon off the ground, so Earthquake's a little harder to spam. One thing I noticed about my opponent's team immediately is it's very physically oriented. He has Empoleon and he has Rabombi as special attackers. Arcanine can do either if Arcanine really needed to. It could be a special attacker as well. But outside of that, everything on his team is forced to be physical. He counteracts this somewhat. I thought, just Willow spam might be the answer. But between Bax Caliber and Hariyama and Arcanine, it's hard to burn a lot of his physical attackers, if not, detrimental to us. So I thought that was kind of tough. So Empoleon's the next one. Competitive means that stat drops make its special attack go up, which makes it even more threatening. I think it's pretty good coverage into our team. I do think it will show up. I was wrong last week because neither water type showed up, but I do think Empoleon looks pretty good into us. He's got Mimikyu, good Trick Room setter, guaranteed to take 1 hit, but pretty straightforward Pokemon. I know it could probably run Drain Punch this week for Tyranitar, but it also has Play Rough, Shadow Sneak, Shadow Claw, Wood Hammer, a few different tricks up its sleeve, but pretty easy to understand Pokemon. He's got the Iron Thorns, so we're going T-Tar versus T-Tar. I've got the old one. He's got the new one. I think we have some good coverage on our team. If it runs an interesting Tera type and runs like a Dragon Dance set, it could be pretty tough for us to beat, but I think we have a lot of ways to help slow it down on this team. Got the Hariyama, so similar to the Iron Hands last week. He's got Fake Out. He's got Thick Fat or Guts on that thing. So either a lot of power coming out or it resists our Ice and Fire type moves. And it just, a ton of physical power. It also threatens Fake Out, so we do have to keep that in our mind. He's got Glass Score, which really doesn't see a lot of use in VGC because it's usually outclassed by Landorus Therian. But it could be an annoying like Stolly set with Poison Heal, or it could be something more offensive if they wanted to run that. Earthquake and flying coverage, whether it be acrobatics or something else, maybe Terra Flying, could be pretty solid into us. So I could see that showing up. He's got Arcanine, really good Intimidate Mon, fire coverage. He's got extreme speed, Will-O-Wisp. Everybody knows what Arcanine does. It's one of the best at what it does because it's so consistent. He's got Bombardier, dark flying type that's honestly really solid coverage into our team outside of Klefki. Like dark flying and potentially rock stab just does a ton of work. So I'm pretty nervous if that shows up because it's also got a pretty solid speed tier into us. Also, it just matches up really well into Como and like grass types. So I think that might be tough. He's got Rabombi. Sticky webs are not really a thing in doubles, but it could still run, I think, Tailwind, and it's got Moonblast, Bug Buzz. It's got Shield Dust, so it actually can't get faked out. So that's something to keep in mind. Or it can get faked out, but it won't flinch it because Shield Dust ignores secondary effects. And then it's got Fungus that I have some history with, so the Rage Powder, Spore, Pollen Puff, Clear Smog type of set. I know exactly what it wants to do, and hopefully we've got enough to help us deal with it. So looking at what we're bringing today, I wanted to bring a bulk up Como, but honestly, if I brought that, it would be forced to Tera in this matchup. It is so weak into Baxcalibur that outspeeds it, Empoleon's Ice Beams, Play Rough from Mimikyu, flying type moves from Gliscor, flying type moves from Bombardier, fairy type moves from Rabombi. So if I brought it, it would have probably been Water Tera, and I would have been forced to Tera it before I even began to set up. So I thought I'd do something a little fun this week, and we're bringing Muck instead with the exact set I wanted to run. We've got the Drain Punch, Ice Punch, really solid coverage into his team. Curse to help us boost up our physical side. We've got a lot of bulk investment on this, and a little bit of attack. Pretty much our investment this week means we never get two-shot by Earthquake from Gliscor at +1, and we always KO it back with Ice Punch. So we always match up favorably into that, and he doesn't have a whole lot else that really hits Muck super effectively. We've also got Sticky Hold because he does have a few knockoff users, so if we could keep our leftovers, that would be huge. We've got our Sinistcha. Pretty much the same set we brought last week. Very physically defensive, Machagacha, Calm Mind, and Rage Powder to help things like Muck set up. We've also got the Hex, though, because I think I have status on 5 out of 6 Pokemon. Muck was originally Poison Touch, but I just have so much status on this team, I didn't think it was worth Poison Touch because normal Poison's kind of a worse status than the other options. So Hex is nice because it gives us a much stronger move into anything that is statused. We've got the Persian. This Persian's here to help us pivot around and get Sinistcha in and out more often. Covert Cloak, so we can't get faked out. We've got our own fake out we can use. We've got Parting Shot, which we got to be really careful we don't click into Empoleon or Empoleon switching in. We've got the Thunder Wave. I just think speed control is kind of nice for this team. We do have Trick Room as an option, but I don't know how often we'll be clicking it. And then we got the Knockoff just for utility, item removal. We've got both of these guys on full utility this week, so got to be careful not to have them both on the field at once, or it might be too passive. We've got the Dazzling Gleam, Thunder Wave, Reflect, and Trick Room Klefki, also very physically bulky. Gleam's just good to spam into his team. You get some chip damage, helps things like Muck and Moltres secure KOs. Thunder Wave, once again, slowing things down. We click Thunder Wave into Arcanine and Empoleon pretty much always, just to reduce their chance of moving and slowing them down so the rest of our Pokemon outspeed them, except for, like Muck with like a couple curses up. And then, yeah, we've got the Trick Room if we need it. If they run like Tailwind Rabombi, we could just click Trick Room and reverse that Tailwind essentially and make it in our favor. We've got the Moltres, very offensive Moltres this week. I was going to run a supportive Will-O-Wisp, but I thought, too much support. We need something that can just punch. I wanted to run Overheat here as well. Hello, Eleanor. I wanted to run Overheat as well, but I didn't really have room for it because obviously we need the fire coverage and the flying coverage for things like Hariyama and Arcanine. Heat Wave's just super solid into his team. And then we got the Tera Ground Tera Blast to help us. If we really just need to delete the Iron Thorns, we can. And we're more free to use Tera types on our other Pokemon because Muck is not forced to use it as much as Kommo would have been. And then finally, just a pretty offensive Tyranitar. I considered like Choice Band again or like Dragon Dance, but honestly I just really like these 4 coverage moves. Tera Blast Flying is to help us clear the Hariyama in one turn if we really need to. It's also solid into Fungus and Rabombi. We've got the Safety Goggles, so if Fungus does show up, this Tyranitar just kind of handles it. And then we're just max attack. We just do a ton of damage. We got enough speed to outrun Rabombi if we get Tailwind up with Moltres. Yeah, it's solid. I think this Tyranitar could do a lot of work this week. And we shouldn't be afraid to Terrasilize either Sinistcha with water or either of these guys into their offensive Teras. So yeah, that's the team. We'll get into the battle. All right, so he sent me his team through a Pokepaste. That's new. Baxcalibur. It's not. It doesn't show any moves or anything, of course. Excalibur's Fairy. Arcanine is Fire, so that leads me to believe it might be the Burn Up set where it can just infinitely burn up. Empoleon does show up, and it's Flying. Mimikyu is also Fairy. Gliscor is Flying, so kind of called that one on the Tera Blast potential, and Fungus is Water. Okay, Fungus does show up. So if we look at our 2 teams, gosh, I cannot spell. I did not bring Kommo-o, Slowking, almost brought Slowking, almost brought Dugtrio, and no Lurantis. He did not bring the Iron Thorns, the Hariyama, okay, the Bombardier, or the Rabombi. So that means he is weak to ground quite a bit, rock, and doesn't have a switch into a ghost type, which most of that doesn't matter, but the Hex spam is going to be nice. So yeah, let's do it. Good luck, have fun to my friend. Or, I don't know this guy, but he could be a friend. He's pretty cool. He seems pretty cool. He's a good battler. So, what do we think he could do? What even is his lead? I was so set on either Rabombi Tailwind showing up or fake out Hariyama. The team kind of has two modes. We've got the slow mode with Muck setting up, besides Sinistra, Persian, and maybe Klefki. And then we've got the fast mode with like Tyranitar, Moltres. He does have decent answers into Moltres though, and he didn't bring the Thorns, which makes Tera ground a little worse. It's still solid in Empoleon, but it's not great. I think Safety Goggles T-Tar actually looks really good here. Although Tera Flying is also not as useful now without the Hariyama. I guess it could still beat the Fungus. I think I could lead T-Tar plus Persian. Muck in the back and Sinistra in the back. Klefki would be nice for a Reflect. His whole squad's physical outside of Empoleon and maybe Arcanine. Moltres I think is better game 2 once we see kind of what he's wanting to do. So yeah, we'll go with that. I don't know if it's the right play. It's kind of weird. Okay, we got the notepad up. Hopefully we land our 90%. I know we ran even more of them this week. And we also know our opponents do like to run Covert Cloak against us, so finding that would be nice. So Mimi backs is the lead into our T-Tar Persian. We have Unnerve. Obviously, does Bax... Oh gosh. Does Bax get a fighting type move? Things I don't know. It gets Body Press, Brick Break. Could definitely be Brick Break into T-Tar. I could fake out Baxcalibur turn 1 and just drop a Rock Slide. It is Fairy. The worst Mimi could do is Drain Punch T-Tar or Will-O-Wisp. So I think I could just click Rock Slide here. Fake out the Baxcalibur. We can at least confirm whether or not it's Covert Cloak. So Bax protects turn 1, so we don't fake it out, but it effectively wastes a turn for it. So that's okay. We know it's not choiced. So Bax has Protect. Mimi Sword Stances, so that's a little scary. Immediately gets +2. People love Sword Stancing in front of me. We go for Rock Slide. Bax protects. We do land it on the Mimi, so that's something that doesn't happen too often. We could Thunderwave Mimikyu and kind of make it a non-issue immediately. Obviously, it's strong. The Baxcalibur could also Tera here. Go for a Fairy Tera Blast into Tyranitar. Tera Blast. Fairy. It doesn't Oko us though. So I think I can just go for another Rock Slide here. And I will try to paralyze the Mimikyu. So back switches. Arcanine comes in, intimidates us. Is Intimidate. So, makes sense. So it's looking like a Tera Sinistra game. A Water type Sinistra looks really good here. Paralyzed Mimi. Should be faster with T-Tar now. We do miss something. Arcanine. It's gonna happen. Rock Slide hits both sides, so I'm not salty. We do get the flinch. So we are going for a little bit of para-flinch at the beginning here. I am sorry about the flinch. I know it's bad fortune. We can just paralyze Arcanine now. It is Tera Fire, so Rock Slide is always going to be super effective. And it'll get Mimi down pretty low. I could also Parting Shot into the Arcanine, but I don't want to bring Sinistra or Muck in this situation. So I think I will just Thunderwave that slot too. I guess Gliscor could come in if that's his last. Fungus or Empoleon. Gliscor is his last. Okay, so it is immune to the Thunderwave. I could have knocked off the slot, but I didn't. So it is immune to Thunderwave. We do go for another Rock Slide. He may think we're definitely not Scarf, but he may think we're a choiced item. Play Roughs. It does knock out T-Tar. Okay. Is this where we start setting up the Muck? Okay, Mimi's Life Orb. That's good to know. Mimi has Play Rough and SD. And he did not bring Empoleon or Fungus to this matchup. So our options are Muck and start cursing, or Sinistcha. Sinistcha looks pretty solid here, assuming knockoff from Persian KO's Mimikyu. Yeah, it should. So I will just go Sinistcha. I don't think we saw a Toxic Orb on the Glasgow. We didn't. So not the Poison Heal set. And I mean, honestly, I can just Calm Mind here. Like, it's, what can Gliscor do to, I mean, knock me off, I guess. I guess that means I could click Matcha. Gotcha. I guess Calm Mind doesn't matter that much. And it would be nice to have healing. Also getting to +1 would just be nice, though. Gliscor, knockoff. If he's no investment, it's not doing too much. So I think we can afford to Calm Mind once. Knock off the Mimikyu to knock it out. Okay, so we do get the knockoff off. We do KO Mimi. Gliscor goes for... We know it's Life Orb. A knockoff of its own. Gets rid of our Citrus. That does more than I expected. I think that's like a max attack Gliscor. So do Calm Mind. I could have Tera there, I guess. Taking half damage from that knockoff would have been nice. But this next turn I can just Matcha Gotcha in front of whatever he brings in. Maybe get a burn on the Gliscor? That would be nice. So Gliscor is knock. Probably should have Terra'd there. Does bring in the Baxcalibur. I will Tera. I will Matcha Gotcha, get some health back, hopefully, assuming I live a double up. I could paralyze Baxcalibur, but I kind of expect it to protect. I could knock off Gliscor, get some information for the future, but I could also Parting Shot. I don't really expect it to click a ground top move this turn. So I think I will just try to weaken it to help Muck out. And we'll go ahead and get Muck in. We'll move Empoleon down, so I'm not confusing myself as much. Do you see a Tera? So it's either Flying Gliscor or Fairy Bax. And it is the Flying Gliscor, so probably a Tera Blast coming out here. But at least we do, we're not weak to it on Sinistcha anymore. But that does mean he now resists Matcha Gotcha instead of just being neutral to it. So that's not great. We probably won't get too much health back here. We might even still get knocked out, honestly. I mean, we'll bring it to -1, but it's going to be hard if Baxcalibur also attacked. Bax does protect. Nice. So we did call that. We called something correctly this season. Nice. We do get a Parting Shot into the Gliscor. Oh, it's Hyper Cutter, though. But I think, yeah, we do still get the special attack drop. Damn, I did not even think of that. I guess without Poison Heal, Hyper Cutter makes a lot of sense. So I do bring Muck in here. And he's aggro. No item at all? Okay, has an item still. Maybe Citrus. Matcha Gotcha misses. Oh, no, sorry. Hits into the Protect. I just assume we miss at this point. +1 Matcha Gotcha into resisted. Still does an okay amount. We could burn. Doesn't look like we burned. We get 20 health back. So not too bad. What I can do here is Rage Powder and get a Curse up. I could also just Matcha Gotcha again. I don't know how threatening he sees this Muck, though. So I think I will Rage Powder. I think one Curse will go a long way. And he could click a ground move, and if I could redirect that into Sinistcha, that would be all the better. Even though Acro, I guess, is weaker, since he has an item, than a ground move like High Horsepower would be. Or Tantrum, or whatever Gliscor gets. I'm not even sure. Does High Horsepower. Knocks us down pretty low. Oh, they both have High Horsepower. Oh, no. We've messed up here. He brought ground coverage on everything, and we have a Muck that can't Terastallize. I've made a mistake. So we are at +1 defense now, but I don't know if that's going to help us survive this onslaught any better. Did he try to double into Muck that turn? That's crazy. Like, this is like my bottom tier Pokemon that I just wanted to see if it would work for a battle. I don't want to knock off Glasgow now because we're just going to make Acrobatics stronger. Not that it matters. I guess it's high horsepower coming off Glasgow is stronger since it's stab, even though Baxcalibur is way higher base attack. Does Ice Punch KO Gliscor? And does Drain Punch... Drain Punch definitely doesn't KO Bax. But I think what I can do is go for a Drain Punch into the Bax. Even if it protects, that's okay, because the Gliscor will flinch. And then next turn, we can Ice Punch into the Gliscor. It's going to be a hard finish. Okay, Gliscor switches. Bax might also protect here. He intimidates me, so Muck's back to neutral. This Drain Punch is probably not even close to a 2-hit KO. We will get Baby Chip on the Arcanine. I think Klefki was the better bring here. Is Icicle Spear? Is he loaded dice? Or lucky? That's doing reasonable damage. Oh, there's a crit. Okay. It does hit at least 4 times, so that leads me to believe it's loaded. Double crit? Bro, come on. Are you kidding me? I cannot have one game go in my favor. I swear. I mean, not that it matters. It probably doesn't change the outcome, but we did take like 50 extra damage there because we got double crit. But it's just, it's funny. So we do show our leftovers. Arcanine is in now and I guess can burn the Muck if it wants. We can paralyze something or we could knock off something. Persian's really not doing much in this endgame though. I mean, Arcanine, we're just going to have to paralyze and ignore. And Drain Punch around it with the Bax. Kind of did this out of order. With the Gliscor being here, I brought Sinistcha in too early when I was really supposed to be healing Muck with it. So I did mess up that part of the play. High horsepower does a good amount of damage. And Psychic... Dude. We live on 1, but damn, he brought every possible thing for Muck, which is crazy to me. Which Psychic Fang's also obviously really good into Como-O and helps us deal with, or helps him deal with screens. But man, I did not anticipate this much ground and Psychic coverage, I'll be honest. So that's tough. At least we'll try to bring it down to an 0-2. I will go for a knockoff onto the Bax to get rid of it and protect on the Muck. Get us a little more leftovers health back. So we know that the Bax is HHP as well as Icicle, Spear. I'm gonna assume it's loaded dice. Okay, back switches out so we don't get the better differential. I'm gonna say loaded dice with a question mark. We know Arcanine is Psychic Fangs. The Gliscor is Weakness Policy. Yikes. And Arcanine gets fully paralyzed, but if it targeted into Muck, that doesn't matter anyway. It's actually worse for us. So we can't do anything to slow down this Gliscor and stopping it from probably just knocking out Muck. So we'll just go for a knockoff into the Arcanine. And I mean, I could still play differential and try to Ice Punch the Gliscor. So we do knock off Arcanine. It shows Citrus. Okay. It does go for the Acrobatics. Is that stronger? I guess with Tera, yeah. It does knock out Muck. So we tried. We brought a meme set. It did not work as I wanted it to. And Arcanine is Flare Blitz. Does nothing. We have a very bulky Persian. And also I think that means it's a more defensive Arcanine. We can't win in this situation. But maybe with enough crits, we can knock out this Gliscor. Not likely. But we can also gauge damage. So useful information. Does like 80. So normal Acrobatics does like 40 if he Teras again. And the Flare Blitz also does like 40. So it does knock us out. Okay. Really cool sets, honestly. I really like that Gliscor. Acro. Arcanine is Blitz. So we got a lot of information there. He might try to adjust. Maybe bring Empoleon this time. Or Fungus to help Mimi get set up. Although it kind of just Swords Danced in front of my face last time. So I don't know if Gliscor is a rock type move. If Gliscor has a rock type move, then Moltres is going to suffer. But I actually really like Moltres in this matchup, looking at what he's got. I just need... I need it to set up a Tailwind and start just doing big damage. And it's hard for me to set it up without having some kind of redirection. And if I have Sinister on the field early, obviously I can't pivot it around to heal things. So I think this time Klefki is a pretty solid lead. I think Arcanine comes in immediately on the Klefki. So something to threaten Arcanine beside it would be nice, and that would be our Ground Tera Moltres. I mean, Empoleon looks solid. Or, sorry, Empoleon. Tyranitar looks solid into a lot of his team. Obviously, he has super effective coverage on at least 3 things. But we can live one unboosted hit and do a lot of damage back. And if he brings Fungus, Tyranitars are really important for that. And then I also think Sinistra in the back is just a good, like, heal for whatever we have in. So we'll do that. Tough battle. This guy's good. I liked his builds a lot. He plays slowly and makes sure that he gets the best out of his moves, if that makes sense. Like, I like his methodological decision-making, his switches, his protects. It's all very good. Leads Glasgow Mimikyu this time into Klefki Moltres. So, does the Gliscor have a Rock-type move? And if it does, do I care? I do care, because I don't really want to Tera Moltres immediately if I don't have to. I will go for a Reflect. Getting a Tailwind to help me outrun everything would be nice. Man, do we think it's Rock move? It probably is, right? We should probably Tera. I guess so. It's gonna make Sinistra so much worse, though. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna Tailwind immediately. Okay, we get a Reflect. He probably SDs again with Mimi here. Hey, we're faster than both with Moltres, so that's cool to see. He goes for a Taunt into Klefki, so we can't do any Thunder Waving shenanigans after this. And High Horsepower's into the Klefki, which is okay. I kind of want rid of it. Ouch, also. Okay, we get a Rocky Helmet chip on Glasgow, which is nice. And honestly, I'm just going to hit Gleam. And I think I'm just going to hit Heat Wave. We have a chance to burn. We break Mimikyu's Disguise, and we do a good chunk to the Gliscor. So I think this is a overall really solid play. And it seems like he's just kind of ignoring Moltres, at least turn 1. So we know Mimi is Taunt. So that's a good anti-Trick Room, but Slowking obviously could have still set Trick Room in front of it. But I guess it threatens Ghost type coverage, and Life Orb Shadow Claw would not feel great. It probably lives one, but that would put us on the back foot a bit, and a double would definitely knock out a Slowking. So yeah, another good set. We land both hits on Heat Wave, does over 50% to Gliscor, and breaks the Mimi Disguise. That's huge. So we've kind of nullified the Gliscor this game. And we're faster with Klefki, so Dazzling Gleam actually gets the KO. Gliscor can't move this turn, which is amazing. Another KO for Klefki. Mimi goes for Sword Stance this turn, but I think with that Heat Wave doing 50% to Gliscor, I mean, it had some bulk, but a standard Mimikyu is taking like 60 to 70%, which is about what he's sitting at. We know he's Intimidate, so it can't be Flash Fire, so Heat Wave is clickable. That Gleam didn't do too much, but we really don't have a better option. I could also Tera Ground and try to just delete this Arcanine immediately. Our Backmons are okay into Arcanine. Oh man, this is tough. Once again, this probably just KOs Arcanine from full. Let me see. Yeah, it definitely KOs Arcanine. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and actually just get rid of the Arcanine, because the Mimikyu's only technically in neutral. So let's just keep up the tempo, keep up the offensive pressure. Got the Tera Moltres for the first time, I think, this season. Pretty hype. I do like this Pokemon a lot. Tera Blast. Unless this is very bulky Arcanine, this should one-shot it. Oh, that's cool. Alright, nice. We do KO the Arcanine in one hit. We have Dazzling Gleam coming out from Klefki, single target. So, it's not going to KO Mimikyu, but it'll do a good chunk. Yeah, nice. And Shadow Claw into Klefki does not crit, and he takes more Helmet Chip. And, wow, Life Orb, okay. So, I think it was on, like, 10%. Bax is his last, so he did not switch up his back mons this time. I don't want to hit Bax with a Fire-type move. Am I still taunted? I'm still taunted for one turn. Last turn, a Tailwind. Bax could definitely protect here. So we have to Gleam with Klefki. We don't have another option there. And I think, so we don't risk the miss, I just Tera Blast into the Mimikyu. Because I do expect Bax to want to protect here. Our Backmons, neither... Tyranitar should never get OHKO'd by Bax. Although Chip would be nice. Man, the Heat Wave Chip would be really nice in a Bax Caliber. But I don't know if I can justify giving it an attack boost. Yeah, I think Bax protects here to stop my Tailwind. It does not protect, okay. Well, we get the knockout off Klefki, and he can only realistically knock out one of my Pokemon this turn, which means I can either Thunder Wave it with Klefki next turn, or I can do a ton of damage with Moltres. We are built to always outspeed it. So, we get another Gleam off. Dude, 50%. That is solid. And he knocks out Klefki. Man, you really hate Klefki, huh? And Helmet Chip, he does knock us out. Who would I rather show him I have in the back? I could heal Moltres with Sinistcha. I think I would actually rather bring out Tyranitar, though. Has he Tera'd this game yet? If I bring Tyranitar out, he probably Fairy Teras. We hit it with a ground move. And then he still has to pick only one of us to knock out. Yeah, I guess we go T-Tar. I think this may be the less optimal play. Do we know the item on Bax? Oh, we assume loaded dice, yeah. Oh, this is not a play I should have struggled with anyway, because he's at 40%. So we will just Tera Blast, guaranteed hit. Moltres went crazy here, dude. Life Orb Moltres is very powerful. I know the VGC scene is big on Galarian Moltres, which is very strong with Fiery Wrath, Nasty Plot, but don't count out the Kanto one. Like, this thing is really solid. So we do at least bring it to game 3, which honestly is fun for me. I really just enjoy these battles, honestly. I think getting rid of Arcanine turn 1 there was actually a really good play by us, because Psychic Fangs would have broken our screens, and we would have been taking more damage from Bax and Mimi. It would have knocked us out with that Shadow Claw. So I think that was actually a smarter play. Hopefully. All right, nice. So battle 3. I mean, that worked really well. Obviously, Muck was not the play, which is very funny. All right. Game 3. Do we want to switch anything? He probably knows that Sinistcha was our last in the back, so he could prep specifically for that. I think he does switch something up this game, right? I know people, like, he's brought the top 4 every time, but the other 2 have to be, like, usable sets too, right? Klefki lead was so good that I'm almost sure he'll lead Arcanine here. We know that Moltres KOs it, though. So I think I go same lead, truly. I think I do the same 4. Persian is another option for a lead beside a Moltres if we wanted to. It's a little awkward. Klefki's so obvious, but he only knows 2 moves on it. He doesn't know we're Thunder Wave, so we could use that turn 1 this time if we think Arcanine's just going to Psychic Fangs immediately. So yeah, he's thinking about his move. I think we will see either Empoleon or Fungus come out here. Luckily, our Tyranitar is just built to beat Fungus. Moltres is very threatening toward it until it terastallizes, and if he wants to Tera Water Fungus as his Tera of choice this game, that's totally fine with me. That makes Sinistcha's matchup into it really, really good. I could have switched Persian for Klefki. That might have been my mistake here, but I think the Reflect is just so solid into him. Alright, game 3. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you want to leave a like or subscribe, I would really appreciate it, but just you watching this far into the video is really nice. So he switches up the lead, has the Empoleon instantly this time. So our Moltres, I don't think ever KOs Empoleon. It also may very well be AV. I mean, it would without AV, or at least as a roll. So what do we want to do? I think a Reflect is totally fine. And I actually think Sinistcha is pretty free to come in here. Because I think a Water move might come out into the Moltres slot. And I want to keep it alive if possible. So I will just do that. I know we don't get the Hospitality Healing again. But I do think this is a pretty safe switch in. I don't think he's acrobaticsing into the Moltres, risking a burn. Do get our Reflect up, so the Glass Core is doing half damage. He's Aqua Jet into himself to activate Weakness Policy, of course. Instantly makes Acrobatics twice as strong. That's really smart. I didn't even think of that. And High Horsepower is into Klefki. Does not knock us out, which we kind of knew. And he takes Helmet Chip. So, not a bad turn 1. I do think it's AV based on that. So I do think it's going to be Ice Beam. So we'll Thunder Wave the Empoleon to try to nullify it a little bit. I think an Acro into Sinistcha is pretty obvious here. I think we could definitely Tera Water. How important is Tera Ground? It's nice to have to get rid of Arcanine. But I don't think it's necessary. And then Tera Flying on Tyranitar's only if matters if Fungus is in the back, and I think it's okay if we don't. So I will Terastallize. I think I just go for an immediate Matcha Gotcha. If he hits into Sinistcha, we immediately heal back. So he Terras 2. This is probably a Tera Gliscor. Which is essentially a neutral, since it's got the Weakness Policy, but we have a Reflect. I don't think Empoleon... It might get Brick Break to break screens, and if it's AV, it might have room for that, but I don't really anticipate it. We both Tera this turn. Once again, Matcha Gotcha is weaker in the Gliscor than it otherwise would be. It would have been nice to have Persian on the side. I could have Thunder Waved it in the Gliscor if I really wanted to call the Terastallize, but I'm not that bold. Helping Hand. Okay, this is going to hurt a lot. If it crits, it KOs Sinistcha, but if it doesn't crit, I don't think it KOs us. But next turn we can paralyze the Gliscor, so that's nice. Alright, let's see what you got, Gliscor. Tera Flying, Acrobatics, +2, but with a Reflect up. We do live. Nice. Max Defense Sinistcha. So handy. We got our Citrus Berry, some healing. And then Matcha Gotcha. Does hit both, so kind of a surprise. Okay damage. It's not AV Empoleon because it showed Helping Hand. So that means it can't have too much in the way of coverage. I guess it could have Dual Stab or Ice Beam. So we know it's Aqua Jet. And we know it's Helping Hand. So it can actually do a reasonable chunk to Moltres with that Aqua Jet. I think we paralyze Gliscor this turn. And honestly, I think we paralyze Gliscor, and I think we go for a Hex, and we just try to remove it from the battle. Because if we paralyze it, it's slower than us and it's statused. So then Hex will do double damage and will definitely KO. So, pretty tense. Okay, he protects Gliscor. That's a really good play. I think maybe this was too obvious of a move on my part. What does Empoleon want to do in this situation? Maybe knock out Klefki? Aqua Jet's into Klefki. It doesn't even do half. And he takes Rocky Helmet Chip, so that's huge. It might be a roll. Hang on, I can check where the numbers are so low. So my custom klefki into Aqua Jet and Empoleon. It's doing 13 to 15. So it is like not attack like reduction nature, because under reflect it should be doing, oh no, the roll's still there. Yeah, the max roll's 11 for standard Empoleon, so I think I can go for the Thunder Wave again. He's probably gonna switch, but he doesn't have anything that can come in on Thunder Wave, I don't believe. It's Arcanine, Baxcalibur, Fungus, or Mimikyu. So at best, Mimikyu comes in, and we still break the disguise with Hex and paralyze it. But there is always the option we miss that as well, which kind of ruins our plan. We do live. Hex will not KO, I don't think, without the Thunder Wave. Yeah, no. Man, that is very unfortunate. And we see Air Slash. So if we hadn't missed that Thunder Wave, we would have outsped the Gliscor and Sinistcha would still be alive. But there's not a whole lot we can do about it. Air Slash. So I think we have to bring out Moltres here because it can knock out Gliscor. We are just spamming 90% moves, so we are going to miss them, but that was a very crucial miss in this battle, I think. I think we know Moltres is faster, but just in case, I do want a Thunder Wave and a Gliscor. I know I'm just spamming Thunder Wave, but it's our most consistent move. If Empoleon is water move last, then Moltres might get KO'd here, and Tyranitar will have to clean up the back, but, you know, that's what we're going to have to deal with. It's the hand we were dealt. Man, having Gliscor gone here would be nice. We actually land the Thunder Wave this time. That was more so to cover him switching Gliscor out, which, you know, probably shouldn't, but just in case. He does Aqua Jet. Maybe that's his best move into Moltres. We miss, not the Gliscor, please. I mean, it's its own joke at this point. Like, that's crazy. Two different times we've missed moves that would have KO'd Gliscor. Reflect wears off. Tyranitar comes in. I kind of wish I'd ran weakness policy now. I considered it. I guess I just set another reflect. Adversely, I could Trick Room because his back mons are probably faster than Tyranitar. Look at my Tyranitar and an Empoleon. Rock Slide's doing like not enough to KO Empoleon. I will just get another reflect up though, because Empoleon will knock us out with Aqua Jet if I don't. And then maybe we miss 3 90% in a row in Gliscor, or not in a row, but 3 out of 4 90% on Gliscor, and this becomes a really funny video. Empoleon did go for the Aqua Jet and is fully paralyzed. We actually land with Rock Slide. So we KO Gliscor. It would have been gone a long time ago otherwise. It would have meant something else would be in now, which might have just swept us, but nothing he has is faster than Moltres. So, yeah, that turn really kind of sealed our fate, I think. I mean, even Sinistcha being in here at the end would be really solid versus Baxcalibur. I think I can just Trick Room. I could Thunder Wave Baxcalibur, but I do think he might protect it. Is he Tera? Yeah, he Tera'd Gliscor. You know what? We're playing our odds. We're going to Thunder Wave, and we're going to Rock Slide. I don't care if it protects. What's Empoleon going to do? Aqua Jet me? I mean, we lost a lot due to luck. Maybe we can bring the game back in our favor with a couple of para flinches. Not that it's the strategy I wanted to use, but it's the strategy that I've been dealt. That does KO us, so it is not modest, Empoleon. But he knocked himself out there. Right? With Helmet? Yeah, nice. Okay, so Empoleon knocks itself out. So this is a single target Rock Slide that does land. and does 90-ish%, and he high horsepowers me back for about less than half. So if there's a way I can KO the right Mon, oh, never mind, we lose. Unless he wants to miss a 90% play rough, but I think the misses are one-sided. So yeah, if that had been Arcanine in the back, we had a chance if it was like Blitz, Psyfangs, Will-O-Wisp, E-Speed, or Protect. But it was Mimikyu, which was a good bring. And he lands, but we don't get KO'd. He takes Helmet Chip. And Rock Slide does take out the Baxcalibur. So, at least we brought it down to a 1-0. Two very crucial misses this game between the Thunder Wave and the Heat Wave. But that's the game we play. I keep running 90% moves because they're my most optimal. And I can't really be mad when they do miss. So maybe he misses here to get some Divine. Nope. Oh well. I mean, what can you do? We narrowly lose, thanks in, I think, large part due to those misses. If Sinistcha was still alive at this point in the game, then it kind of just walls out Mimi and Bax, even if he spams attacks into it. Unless it was like Glaive Rush, his last move, Baxcalibur. I think we were in great shape with Sinistcha, but we did miss a Thunder Wave. So it's going to happen. We do go to 1-4, which not looking good for playoffs, but I think the game's telling us that maybe we shouldn't make playoffs. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you watched all the way to the end, I appreciate it so much. Leave a comment letting me know what I could do better, because I can blame the 90% all I want, but at the end of the day, I am also making misplays, and I don't always catch them all. I'm still fairly new to VGC, so if you see what I could do better, please let me know. Thank you. Have a good one.